Welcome to episode number 12 of the Building Thriving Lifestyles podcast. I'm your host, Eik Gilladottir, and I love to help grow better humans by challenging myself and others. On today's episode, we are going to talk about my top tips if you want to start dipping your toes into high intensity training or HIIT training yourself. It's really a no-brainer, okay? HIIT training is actually the fastest and the most effective way to increase one's fitness. It's also the most effective way to change your body composition, and it's been proven to help you live a more healthy life in your older years. So why wouldn't you want to start? Here is how it amazingly works. You push your body to do short amount of high intensity training for a short amount of time, like I said, and then you're gonna rest. Then you're gonna repeat that a couple of times. So as opposed to some of the more like just high intensity training, where you have to force yourself to do something ungodly for a long time, this is actually way nicer because you get to do something fast and then rest and fast and rest, okay? Yet, however simple this may sound, it can be quite scary and a little bit daunting, especially for beginners to get started. So in today's episode, we're gonna cover how you can go about it, what are the risks, what you might wanna keep in mind, and how you're gonna get your best results out of your high intensity training. Look, it's super common to have fears and doubts about new training initiative, and especially things that we're kind of unfamiliar with. And let's be completely honest here, there are definitely some risks involved with getting into high intensity training, but we're gonna cover a few things that are gonna make it a little bit less risky for you. One thing that we need to clear up from the start is that you do not need to be extremely athletic to get the benefits from high intensity training. You don't even have to have the goals of wanting to get super athletic. If you are just here for the health benefits of doing high intensity training, that's a-okay. Stay tuned, we're gonna cover that too. This podcast episode is brought to you by Liftex. Liftex is an equipment supplier based out of Dubai that offers worldwide shipping. The important thing is though that they offer a completely customized solutions for your home gym setup. So whether you dream about setting up a little home gym that can fit under your bed, or you want to kit out an entire garage with all the good things, then Liftex got you covered. They have contract with premium equipment like Concept 2, so you can get your rower, bike erg, ski erg, assault bike, and all the rest of it to kit out your gym as well through Liftex. Make sure to check out their website. You find them under partners on my website at buildingthrivinglifestyles.com. And when you make your order, make sure to use my discount code EIK10. That both gives me a little bit of a commission for making all these free tip videos for you. And you also get a 10% discount off your order. So back to the HIIT training, here's what I found. In the beginning, you do not need any fancy equipment. You don't need any insanely advanced movements. In fact, to keep safe, it's best to stick to the basics, at least in the beginning. And this is really good news because this means that you can do HIIT training even in the comfort of your private home while you're getting into it. So let's dive into 5 useful hacks for you that are important to remember when you're getting started. Number 1 is start with the basics. Star jumps, jumping jacks, floor runs, sprints, burpees, couple of stairs. These are the most basic exercises that you would use in HIIT. You don't have to start big. You can start small and grow from there. And you can start with even doing steady state cardio or strength training first, finishing your session off with a really small amount of HIIT. Okay. Number 2 is that it's super important to practice good form. Make sure you know how to do a squat before you start doing hundreds of squats to get your heart rate up. Make sure you know how to do a burpee before you get into that. Do your research, use my YouTube channel. I have hundreds and hundreds of movement videos on my YouTube channel. You're more than welcome to check them out. You can use other online resources and research the movement. You can grab yourself and coach. Do a movement session with a coach where they teach you how to squat, deadlift, and do all the basic movements. And if not that, then make sure you just take it easy in the beginning and stick to things that you feel comfortable with. Tip number 3 is to wear the proper attire, okay? For the females, make sure you're wearing a tight-fitting bra before you start jumping around. For the men, something that cuts off any shaving. Make sure it's tight-fitting and flexible and that you're ready to hit the ground running. Tip number 4 is that remember to warm up. We have to, it's super hard if you just jump straight into a high-intensity session from the couch. We're gonna have to make sure that we gradually increase that heart rate. Start with some light movement, stretches, maybe some yoga. Progress yourself into doing a couple of rounds of warm-up strength exercises before you hit your HIIT session at the end of the session. Last tip, number 5, and probably the most important one, is don't overdo it, okay? Exercise at the tempo that's most suitable for you. I know if you look on YouTube and you see some other people doing HIIT training, you'll see them doing some crazy intensities, but that might not be for you. So it's really important to remember when we do HIIT training, it is based off our subjective estimate of efforts. So make sure that you are working out hard for yourself and not to someone else's view. So this means that you're gonna hit a workout, do some burpees, and you're gonna do the amount of burpees that it takes for you to be at like a 7 out of 10 effort, where 10 would be the hardest possible effort. Yeah, so don't overdo it, listen to your own body. So what is the lesson here? The lesson here is that it's relatively simple to get started on HIIT. You're gonna have to start slow and gradually increase it over time. The most common error that I see people do when they start HIIT training is to do too much up front and want it all from the very beginning. But bear in mind that it takes you about 4 to 8 weeks to kind of get into the rhythm of high intensity and get used to those high heart rates without feeling like you're gonna pass out, okay? So allow yourself some time to be a beginner and start out slowly. So the amount of HIIT training that you should do per week can vary vastly between persons and is not the same from one person to the other, okay? So the most standard thing and the best thing that I found when I started working with beginners is to mix the HIIT training in with other steady state workouts and strength training. So you might want to think about adding 1, maybe 2 HIIT training sessions into your training routine, mixed in with steady state and strength training. Yeah. For the actual numbers and minutes of your HIIT training, I want you to start thinking about doing about 10 to 15 minutes at the time. That's a great place to start. And when I say 10 to 15 minutes at the time, I mean shorter durations within that time, totaling up to maximum of 10 to 50 minutes. So this could, for example, be 5 rounds of 2-minute high intensity interval training or 3 rounds of 5 minutes. Yeah. Then as you go on, you can of course increase that time as your fitness levels improve, and you can even add more intervals to it, working your way up to 20 to 30 minutes per session. Last but not least, my advice is don't be discouraged even if you have some beginner issues. Make sure that you take this as a learning curve and you allow yourself to be a beginner. Whatever issues that you run into as you're getting started, research your way out of it, see if you can find a solution, be patient, be consistent, and keep at it. At the end of the day, this is all about mindset and what you believe in. And if we're gonna believe in something, we better start believing in ourselves. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any comments or questions regarding high intensity training, make sure to stay in touch, shoot me a message on Instagram, and remember to like and subscribe to this episode. See you next time.